Bruce, now you can start.
Thank you very much. How's my audio? Good. I'm going to speak to two items at the same time, just to save you 5 minutes. Okay. The dashboard and the accelerator. But first, I just want to quickly introduce or reintroduce myself. I run a company called Public Progress. Some of you remember me from a different life, but now I run a company called Public Progress. And our focus is on helping municipalities and agencies, nonprofits, to develop housing plans, to help them develop financing concepts, operationalize those plans, do community engagement, and some project management. And for the city, I've been doing a fair amount of community engagement. I love doing that work and helping to introduce very difficult shelters or consumption treatment services or respite sites or affordable housing to neighborhoods. I actually like doing that work. That's a big part of my practice. The reason I'm here is because this isn't working, okay? And on Tuesday, I was at the Economic and Community Development Committee, and the urgency that people feel around the lack of housing, and we were talking about it in the context of people being on the sidewalk and refugees and newcomers. We were talking about encampments, but they're connected to what you're doing here today. I consider that work, the shelter work and the encampment work and the asylum seekers on the sidewalk, that work is about survival. What you're talking about here with affordable housing is about allowing people to thrive. So I ask you to think about getting people from survive to thrive. And you can write that down and use it anytime you want. We want to get people from survive to thrive, from emergency housing, which should hopefully be very short term, into quality, safe, affordable housing. Quality, safe, affordable housing is essential to allowing people to thrive, but we also want them to work or volunteer. We want them to rebuild relationships with their family. We want them to get their health care and other issues that they have. But I need you to think with the urgency, we need to think, not you, we need to think with the urgency of trying to get that survival to thrive. And as I said, I don't think it's working. If you look at your dashboard here, there's one great number on your dashboard, and I think it's fantastic that you do the dashboard, but 261 affordable housing units have received building permits in the past 12 months. 261 units. So you can announce whatever you want at ONFA. You can go on as many panels as you want and talk about what we're doing. 261 units of affordable housing got a building permit, not an occupancy permit, a building permit in the past 12 months. So the next item is your accelerator program. Bill 109 was passed in April 2022, 18 months ago. Councillor Bradford, who's not here, but was, in January, he brought this issue to the committee and asked for a report on the Community Infrastructure and Housing Accelerator. That's 10 months ago. It's taken us 10 months to pull together a framework for an accelerator. Does anyone see the irony in that? So you can ask the federal government for accelerator money. You can blame whomever you want. This is about us. This is about changing the way we do business. Now, there are some amazing things. And when I talk about the accelerator, actually I worked back in 2020 during COVID. We did some amazing work. Carrie and her team in planning, the Housing Secretariat, Abby and her team, the folks at Creatio, they did amazing work bringing those modular housing units on site. Bradford's ward, we did it. At Crawford's ward, we've done some in your ward, Councillor. So it is amazing when people pull together and get things done, it is remarkable. We need that zeal, we need that working together to get things done. I've seen deputy fire chief in another town I worked in. Deputy fire chief calls me up and he says, "You need anything? I'll bring my pickup truck. I'll load the beds into my pickup truck. I'll schlep them over to the housing for you. You want me to come over and do an inspection, a fire inspection this afternoon because you have to get an occupancy permit? I'll be there. You call me anytime." I've seen Heritage Services managers call me and say, "We want to preserve this building. You tell me what it'll take to turn it into affordable housing." That kind of zeal, dynamic, that's what we need. We need to work together to get this done. So that's really why I wanted to come and talk to you about that today. This is not working. And you can blame the feds, you can blame the province, you can make announcements all you want, but we have to get our act together. There you go, Councillor.
Geez, I accidentally gave you more time. Well, you were talking on two different items, so there you go. Are there any questions for Bruce? No? Oh, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Davis. So you've identified the fact that 260 affordable units have been essentially approved.
261,
61,
Councillor,
right?
261.
Yes, yes. What have you identified has been the challenges in terms of the reasons why things are slow, delayed, and not accelerating?
Every one of these is a problem, different problem. I'll give you one perfect example. Very small project in the east end of the city I worked on recently for an Indigenous housing group. Small, 24 units for men, single men. They were required to produce 14 parking spaces. This is for homeless men coming out of an encampment. They were required to have 2 and 3 bedroom suites so that it would be suitable for families. Of course, we got all that worked through. And then we were required, one of the C of A variances, we were required to have a mechanical bike lift. And we had to go to C of A to get that removed. The footprint of the elevator on the roof was 2 feet squared too big. We had to get a variance. There were 14 of these little dinky variances. Now, these are all legitimate issues. Sure, every building should have a mechanical bike lift. But imagine being an Indigenous group being told by us, white people, that you have to have a mechanical bike lift so that you can get your people off the street, and you have to talk to every neighbor about why you don't want a mechanical bike lift. The system is broken. So then I go door to door with my client and I hear the worst racist crap talking to people because they think they have the right to tell us whether we have a mechanical bike lift. It's craziness what we've done. So we have to clear this underbrush. I'm telling you, it is not working. That's just one. I do this dozens of times a year. It's broken. You have to get out of that.
So on the modular housing, and you referenced the one in my ward and Councillor Bradford's one, that one seems to have been delayed and delayed and delayed. Have you been able to?
Yours is actually 100% over budget. Actually, it's not just delayed, it's actually 100% over budget.
I was going to get to that, but you beat me to it.
Yeah, sorry.
And what have you identified as been the cause of these, the over budgeting aspect, the delay in terms of building and getting people into place, since you're acutely aware of the issues you've been involved? What were some of the issues and the sort of challenges that you have observed from your vantage point?
We can talk about the challenges. We can also talk about how things work well. Macy, we did, the one in Dovercourt, we did in 5 months, Councillor. On time, on budget, in 5 months. The one on Macy, Crawford's ward, I think we did it in 7 months. Good quality housing in a tough neighborhood situation. So I didn't work on the one that you're referencing. I know it's 100% over budget. I'm not criticizing. I'm trying to say we need to do this better. There is a different way to approach some of these things, and that is to actually have projects that are pre-approved on the shelf, ready to go in advance, so that when the feds do decide to come up with some new flavor of the month program or some rapid housing thing, which I think is great, but when they do, then you have something you can pull down off the shelf. As opposed to the way we're doing it now, you have 30, 40 items on that dashboard. They are stuck in the mud, man. They are stuck in the mud. So I think if you can get them pre-approved, if you can use this CIA, the Community Infrastructure and Housing Accelerator, to get projects pre-approved, then when the money comes, I hate to tell you this, if we don't get these things done in the next 2 years, there's going to be a federal election. You think there's going to be a national housing strategy in 2 years? So we need to get this done now. We have to get these projects done now. Because in 2 years, I don't think this money's going to be here.
Thank you. Those are my questions, Mr. Chair.
Always so cheerful. All right, Councillor Nunziata.
Just a question, what is a mechanical bike lift? What is that? I've never heard of that. What is?
It's a thing where you're required to have a bike storage room, and I guess depending on the size of the room and the number of bikes, you have to have some kind of thing that lifts bikes up. I don't know. I don't know, but I know I had to try and figure out how to get rid of it.
I just never heard about it.
Well, someone can speak to the standard on bicycle storage.
Well, okay, thanks.
Yeah, there's a whole thing. I'm sure there's a committee on it.
Any further questions? No. Bruce, thank you so much for coming down and sharing your thoughts with us today. Are there any questions of staff? Nope, seeing none.